I mean, yeah, I would say the reason.
Hey everyone, another record store day in the books, and it was an early morning. This was, I guess, the first year since probably going back to 2019 where we had a normal record store day, not getting cut up into chunks because of COVID. So it definitely was a little bit getting used to. Got out early, left the house a little after 3 in the morning, 3:15, 3:20, somewhere in that range. Maybe even closer, probably closer even to 3:30. I didn't check completely, but it was an early morning. The shop I go to now is in Madison, Wisconsin, Strictly Discs, and they were opening up at 7 in the morning. Black Friday, they usually open up around 9. The last couple record store day, like normal ones, sort of normal ones, they were opening up at 8. So this is a little bit earlier. And, I thought about what time do I actually get there. My tolerance for waiting is probably at about 3 hours right now. I just couldn't see myself getting up a whole lot earlier. I've got 35, 40-minute ride in to the city, so I have to factor that in. So I figured it's a big store. They usually get a really large selection. I'll be okay. And whatever it is, it is. It's not an end of the world kind of thing. So got there early. I rolled in a little after 4 in the morning. It was about 30, somewhere around 37th in line. It was shorter than it felt though, or looked, because I think with Taylor Swift it brought out a lot of folks that maybe were just there for Taylor, because I was watching the people walking away that purchased ahead of me, and there were a lot of folks with really small bags, so I'm assuming they were there for like Taylor and maybe one other thing. A lot of times when you don't have that type of demand, you get the folks that are just there for half a dozen titles, a dozen titles, whatever it might be. It tends to be a little bit more chaotic and the checkout process a little bit longer. So the fact that I was, normally the last few that I've been there, I've probably been around 10th in line. So to go from, and when I am about 10th in line, I get out, about 15 minutes or so after they open. I was done. They opened at 7 and I was in my car at 7:30. So, realistically, it moved along a lot quicker than I think. I did break down and I got the Taylor Swift album, the Long Pond studio sessions. I did enjoy this. It was part of that special that was on Apple TV, I think, or no, not Apple, Disney Plus, rather. It's the collaboration with Bon Iver, Aaron Dessner of The National. So, I enjoyed the album in general, so I kind of wanted this. The question now is do I actually hold on to this? But the flipping prices are already looking ridiculous. I saw, some of these already selling for over $150, which is just completely insane. So I could hold on to that, or I could flip it and then kind of partially pay for the rest of my stuff, I guess. But yeah, I mean that's what that is. This one high on the list, the Pearl Jam Giveaway live album from Australia. So definitely wanted to get hold of that, and glad that I was able to get that. Nico, live at the Library Theater 1980. This is I think the third record store day in a row where they've done this type of live release. They had one I think on Black Friday, and then they had one the previous RSD as well. The first one that I got from her didn't sound great, so I was kind of on the fence. The last one that she did, or they released on her behalf since she passed away many years ago now, sounded really good. I know that the source in some of these is not great, but I still wanted to give it a whirl. It wasn't too expensive, so I figured I'll take a shot at it. Miles Davis, Turnaround, Rare Miles from the Complete On the Corner sessions. So I've got a smallish jazz section. It's not my main genre by any means, but I love On the Corner by Miles. It's definitely one of the albums I already have of his. I kind of like that jazz fusion era of Miles. So wanted to pick this one up. I thought this would just be a nice companion piece to that. So this is the lone jazz album that I walked away with. Fleetwood Mac Albatross. Now this, of course, is early Fleetwood Mac, the bluesy Peter Green era Fleetwood Mac. It's Albatross on the A side, Jigsaw Puzzle Blues on the B side. The only John McVie, Mick Fleetwood, the only two members of Fleetwood Mac that, if you're into the Buckingham Nicks era, you would recognize. This is that really early blues era. So cool stuff. I mean, some people are like, I don't like the new stuff, too commercial, and then obviously you get people that just weren't into the blues thing. I contend that it's, even though it's the same name, it is like two completely different bands, and really they had multiple eras too. I mean, you can go into, they had the Bob Welch era that kind of bridged the blues era and the pop era. It's two totally different bands. I think you can like both the blues era and the pop era, and you don't have to be at war with yourself for that. So totally fine. Cranberries, Wake Up and Smell the Coffee. Their catalog, long overdue for a full reissue. They've released a couple of early ones. There was I think it was that third album that they did is still desperately in need of a reissue. But glad to get this. It's not my favorite Cranberries album, but still I love the band. Really miss them. Sad what had happened to Dolores. But just glad to be able to pick this one up. So that one I was stoked on. All right, another one going back in time a little bit. Carole King, The Legendary Demos. Just a collection of early work. I think it's entirely from Tapestry, or mostly from Tapestry. Definitely those first, just couple solo albums. But yeah, I kind of, with Carole King, I'm not a giant fan of hers, but really like that kind of those first 2 or 3 albums that she put out. So I thought that this would be just a nice companion piece to those. All right, another one. Pretty stoked to finally get released. Soul Asylum, MTV Unplugged. I don't think I ever watched the performance on TV. I do know I have on a CD compilation something, Someone to Shove, which I think is a pretty cool acoustic unplugged rendition of that song. But yeah, it's got Runaway Train on there. It's that era of songs that kind of went big for them, and obviously, I think they kind of had that slow rise. They shot to stardom in the early to mid 90s, and then they're still putting stuff out periodically, but just never quite recaptured that. But this kind of captures that really nice commercial era from them. So was looking forward to getting that. U2. Two Hearts Beat as One, Sunday Bloody Sunday. It has the 2 original versions of the song off the War album, and then the 2 updated versions from the Songs of Surrender album that just came out. U2 pretty much puts out, it seems like, a release every record store day. They feel very unneeded and unnecessary, but I love U2 and can't seem to avoid picking them up. I mean, they've kind of, whether it's 10-inch singles or 12-inch singles, that's kind of that pattern that they've landed on. Could really use maybe like a live album would be nice if they would do that. But yeah, always glad to grab a little U2. All right, winding down, another live album. Stevie Nicks, Belladonna, live 1981. I was pretty stoked for this one. I mean, that's that solo album that she put out, kind of I guess it was post-Tusk, in between projects with Fleetwood Mac, but a really nice mix of songs. You know, obviously some great solo songs like Edge of 17, Stop Dragging My Heart Around, but also some songs that she did with Fleetwood Mac like Old Dust Woman, and it closes out with Rhiannon, which is one of my favorite Stevie songs of all time. So, yeah, pretty glad to get that one. Is it the year of the live album? It feels like that. Peter Tosh, Live and Dangerous, Boston, 1976. So there was, I want to say, live album last Record Store Day from the 80s. Very good. I was slow to really pick up Peter's catalog over the years. It's been mostly in the last 2 years. I've probably picked up most of his records. I think I'm missing one or two still, but yeah, anytime these live albums come out now from Peter for Record Store Day, I'm gonna pretty much snag them. They're really good, and I know Bob Marley is kind of the top reggae artist out of Jamaica of all time, probably, but I know an argument can be made that Peter Tosh is definitely his equal, and some of his songs I might even prefer. But yeah, this looks like a good one from that kind of early era of his, not long after he went solo and left the Wailers. All right, and last, certainly not least, but I don't normally buy box sets from Record Store Day because they can get a little bit pricey, but this one wasn't too bad, and I've always wanted to get Nuggets. It was that compilation, curated, produced by Lenny Kaye, and it includes basically a remastered or re-released version of that, plus the unreleased Nuggets Volume 2 that was planned, and then another LP called Also Nuggets, Artifacts from the Original Nuggets. So yeah, the 5 total records. So, the original double album, the unreleased double album, and then just kind of a single LP of additional material. So thought this would be pretty cool that, 70... let's see, the 50th anniversary, so I guess that came out in 73 then, roughly, assuming we're correctly celebrating 50 years here. But yeah, it's a real solid mix. Always love a good compilation, and I know this is very highly regarded when it initially came out. So never had I don't know if I've ever really seen an original floating around in the wild. Let me know in the comments below if you got anything, if you're still looking to get anything. Did you avoid Record Store Day completely? Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will be back again soon. Take care.